Alright, hello and welcome back to the Criminals Official Dart Math video guide. And again, we're into the money-making numbers now. We just talked about 101 to 120. So let's now go into these tricky 121 to 130 range numbers. And this is a very, again, important set of numbers because you want to give yourself the best chance to finish by hitting your singles on this one. 121 to 130 most often are going to finish on a bullseye attempt. But if we're not doing our math correctly with our first dart, we can end our turn prematurely for no reason. We want to give ourselves as many darts as we can to get to that bullseye finish, and in order to do so, we need to follow the key principles. So let's get into it for this section. First, we've talked about bad numbers in the previous two sections. This is no different. 128, 129, terrible numbers. You want to avoid leaving them at all costs. We're going to talk about why again. They're not fun to check out. Try to avoid leaving 128 and 129. You're much better being on 130 or 127 if you can help it. Do not leave 128 and 129. Second, a miss into a single should leave a treble and then a bull finish. I've already highlighted the numbers here on the board, and we talked about them in the previous section as well. But you need to know these four numbers and how they get to the bullseye. 110 is the 20s, 104 is the 18s, 101 is the 17s, and 107 is the 19s. It's important to know those four numbers because we need to know what we're leaving if our first dart is a single. Thirdly, if we hit a treble first, make sure our single will leave the bull. We've talked about the principle of having 61 through 70 before with with two darts in hand. You need to give yourself a chance at the bullseye. So your second target, if you hit that treble on the first dart, needs to be into that single / treble that a miss leaves the bullseye. Critical philosophy in this section, critical math in this section, and this is really where you can start to separate who is going to have more chances at double than other players, because if you know the math in this section, you will gain darts over your opponents. So with that said, let's get into it now, starting with 121. First dart is going to be at treble 20. If we hit treble 20, we have 61 left. 61 with two darts means we're aiming here at the 11. A single 11 leaves the bullseye. The treble 11 will leave double 14. If we miss into single 20, 121 minus 20 is 101. Where do we go from there? 101 is our 17s to the bullseye. You're going to see this element. We have to know that missing our first dart leaves a chance for a bullseye finish. I did put an alternate route up there if you want to. Maybe if you're not under extreme pressure, treble 20 from that 61. When we talked about 61, I talked about how I like that single bull to double 18. That route is available as well for you. 122. We need to start on 18s. How come? Because if we start on 20s and we hit a single, like we will most of the time, 122 minus 20 is 102. That number is not here. It's not here because you can't get to a bullseye finish from 122. So what's the closest thing we can get to a bullseye finish from? 104. So we're going to go for the treble 18. If we hit the treble 18, we have 68 left with two darts. 68 left with two darts means we're actually staying on the 18. And of course, if we stay there, hit the single, we're going to go to the bullseye. If we do happen to hit two trebles, treble, treble, we're going to go for double 7. And of course, if we hit a single first, we now have 122 minus 18 as 104 left. So we stay for the bullseye. I like 122. It's a nice number. The other thing that's nice is if you have 104 and you hit a single, 122 and you hit a single to leave 104, and then you have 104 and you hit a single again, you leave 86, which means we're staying on the same target. So kind of a cool number. So if you can leave 122, it might make your job a little easier. 123. Again, we must start on a number where the single leaves a finish. So treble 19 this time. If we hit the treble, we've got 66 remaining with 2 darts. 66 remaining means we have to come to the 16, the single to the bullseye, the treble to double 9. If we miss 123 into single 19, 123 minus 19 is again treble 18 to the bullseye, 104 left. You have to make sure that your first dart, a single, leaves one of these 4 numbers. So crucial. 124. Again, we need to make sure we leave a good finish. So here we go. 124. Treble 20, it leaves 64 with 2 darts. 64 with 2 darts. We must come to the 14s. Single 14 to the bullseye. Treble 14 to double 11. If we miss into the single 20, 104 left with 2 darts. Treble 18 to bullseye. 125. A bit of an interesting one. This one you just kind of have to know. But you want to start on the bullseye. If we hit the bullseye, you get a bit of a show finish chance. Bullseye leaves 75. We can actually go single bull back to the bullseye for a bit of a show finish. That's your easiest way to get any chance at double. Alternatively, if you hit the bullseye, 75 left, you could go treble 17 to double 12. If your dart particularly is blocking a lot of the bed, that is a good option, because remember, we're not only going to have to hit a single bull, we're also going to have to hit the bullseye as well again. So if you have your first dart in the bullseye and it's not leaving room for another bullseye, or it's taking up a lot of the single, you're better off just going for a regular checkout at that point. More often, however, we're going to hit the single 25, which means, again, this single is leaving us 100. 100 is the nice, easy treble 20, double 20. We do have 2 more misses that we can still get to a finish on here, which I've highlighted on the left. A miss into the 15 leaves 110 for 20 and bullseye, or a miss into the 18 leaves 107 for treble 19 and the bullseye. This is why I need to keep these numbers to memory, because you're going to be aiming here, you're going to see slop somewhere, figure out if I'm on one of these 4 numbers I can still get to the bullseye. 126, another nice one because you get to stay on the same target here. Ideally, treble 19 leaves 69 left. Nice. And we want to aim then at the bigger 19 for either the single to the bullseye or the treble to double 6. Again, we get to stay on the same target on this one, so if you hit a single with the first dart, you now need treble to the bullseye. But don't, again, fall into the trap. 126, it's an even number. You might think, I gotta go 20s. Well, you're gonna hit this single 20 probably 80 to 85% of the time at least. And now your turn's over once you've done that. Gotta go 19s on 126. 127 is the opposite. We want to start on the 20s. Treble 20 leaves 67. Coming to the 17 for either the bullseye or double 8. Single leaves 107, treble 19, the bullseye. Before we get to 128 and 129, we're going to go to 130. The baby fish, as they call it. Treble 20, single 20, bullseye. Or treble 20, double 5. or single 20, treble 20, bullseye. Easy one there, the baby fish, a little fun. All right, you see it again at the bottom there, 128, 129, they suck. Avoid them. Here's why they suck. Because no matter what you do on these two numbers, you're going to be in a crappy situation in terms of what's left. You're not going to be able to get to an easy finish. Let's look at 128 first. A lot of debate about this. Most people will go for the treble 18, okay? You're going for the 18 wedge. Let's say you hit the treble. You have 128, you've hit treble 18, so you have now 74 left. So you've done a great job. You've hit a treble on your first start. Now you still have 74 left. You need another treble in order to get to a finish. Most players in that situation where they've hit the treble 18 first will just stay on the treble 18 if they have a good marker and go to double 10. And if this is a blocking dart into the treble, you can go the normal route from 74, which is your 14 to double 16 too. Either one is fine. However, that first start treble is kind of wasted. You have 74 left, you still need another treble anyway. If you hit a single though, from 128 into 18, you have 110, so you still have a chance to finish. 110 is 20 to the bullseye. But here's where it gets a little bit hazy. If I start on treble 20 and I hit it, I have 68 left, which means I come to the 18 for the bullseye or double 7. It's great. I hit a treble with my first start. I just need a single now to get to a finish. However, if I hit a single with my first start, I now have 108, and I cannot check out. This is why this number sucks, because you either do a great job and you hit a treble over here, but then you need another treble anyway, or you aim for the treble here, which is great if you hit it, but if you miss, your turn's over. So no matter what you do, you're going to be in a crappy situation. So what should you do? Avoid 128. That's the easiest thing to do. 129 is not much different. Again, if we go to the 19s, treble 19, we did a great job. We hit a treble with our first start. Now we have 72 left. That means we can't get to a finish without another treble. So we need to hit a treble in order to get to a finish. If we miss into single 19, we do have that option for treble 20, and then the bullseye, of course. But again, just like 128, kind of sucks, because you either need to go treble treble in order to get to a double, or single treble to get to a double. If we go 20s first, and we hit the treble on the first start, we have 69, nice, which means we're coming for the 19 for the bullseye or double 6. But once again, if we hit a single 20 from 129, we have 109, and our turn is now over. So just like 128, you either hit a treble on the first start going the 20s, and it's great, or you miss and your turn's over, or you hit a treble on the first start going 19s, and you need another treble. So not optimal either way. So you really need to avoid those numbers. That's the main takeaway, again, from this section. 128, 129, just do not leave those numbers if you can help it. And the other thing, again, make sure that you're leaving one of these 4 numbers when you hit the single, with the exception being that 125, where you're going to start on the bullseye. Make sure the single number leaves one of these finishes. The goal should be to hit at least one treble and get a dart at bullseye with 121 to 130. Keep it simple. You got to hit one treble with your first 2 darts, and you should be shooting at bullseye if you do that. So remember that principle. Keep it in mind. Use the board to your advantage, and make sure that you're leaving these 4 numbers and not leaving 128 or 129. Thanks again for watching.